Well, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Today, we did learn that Tucker Carlson has been fired from Fox News. Everyone is talking about it. So we will hear also tonight on the show. And we also have other things to talk about. We do have John Kiriakou joining the show tonight to be discussing the new information that has come out regarding Joe Biden and the fact that there was potentially a political cover-up with 51 former spies saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was disinformation, when in fact it was not. And that seemed to have been directed by Antony Blinken, who is now the Secretary of State. We will be talking about that. Also, the dangers of AI. There is some growing concern that AI could actually be a danger, an existential threat, in fact, to humanity. It's more than just kids copying essays, plagiarism, artists having their songs replicated by AI machinery. In fact, it goes deeper than that, and many experts are really worried about that. So we are going to be chatting with an expert tonight about artificial intelligence and the true danger that may or may not be posing to us humans. But of course, Tucker Carlson fired. Now, we haven't been given a lot of information, but we are learning some of the new details as well as many of the theories as to why he was pushed out. What we know is he was, in fact, fired. He had little to no warning. According to inside sources, Tucker, as well as the senior executive producer, Justin Wells, were both fired a mere 10 minutes before the network made the public announcement today. So this makes sense because last Friday, Tucker gave no indication that he wouldn't be back. In fact, he said, "See you Monday" at the end of his show. He was joking around, eating pizza, and said, "See you Monday." So no indication whatsoever. We're now learning more information. Inside, anonymous sources are telling outlets like the New York Times and Los Angeles Times and Wall Street Journal, and the several outlets are getting some inside information from inside Fox News, that it was Rupert Murdoch who made the decision after consulting with board members last Friday. So apparently the decision was made last Friday. Maybe they mulled it over the weekend. Maybe they were dealing with lawyers trying to figure it all out. But then suddenly Monday, Tucker finds out, and 10 minutes later, they issue a statement saying, we're parting ways. It was a very plain announcement, didn't say much, didn't even give Tucker a final show to say goodbye to his audience. Nothing. They just ousted him. Um, and said not much tonight. Brian Kilmeade was filling in for Tucker Carlson, and he just said, as you know, Tucker Carlson isn't here anymore, and he's still a good friend, and that's that, and moved on with the show. Not much was said. Now, there are a number of theories as to why Tucker Carlson was pushed out, and honestly, we may never know the real reason, depending on Tucker's non-disclosure agreement that he's likely to sign if he hasn't already. But let's go over some of the prevailing theories and see if any of them make sense. Now, the biggest theory that's circulating out there is that this has to do with Dominion voting lawsuit. As many of you know, last week, Fox News settled with Dominion in a defamation case for a whopping $787 million. And many are claiming that the timing suggests Tucker's ousting had something to do with him spreading misinformation about Dominion and now paying for it. But that actually doesn't make a lot of sense, because Tucker was actually skeptical of the entire claim and said as much on his show. In fact, right after the election in 2020, he said, quote, on his show, "We don't know how many votes were stolen on Tuesday night. We don't know anything about the software that many say was rigged. We don't know. We ought to find out," he said. But here's what we do know. On a larger level, at the highest levels, actually, our system isn't what we thought it was. It's not as fair as it should be, not even close. Carlson then said, "False claims of fraud can be every bit as destructive as the fraud itself." And he said, "The fraud that we can confirm does not seem to be enough to alter the election results. We should be honest and tell you that." So he was actually one of the voices who was skeptical of the claims that were being made by Sidney Powell about Dominion voting systems. He was, as we learned from the lawsuit in the depositions, that he had texted several people at Fox News, his producer, other hosts, saying, "I don't believe this. This is a lie. Sidney Powell's lying. This is a disgrace." He made many comments as such. Now, he didn't really publicly come out and say those things that aggressively, but him saying, um, the fraud that we can confirm does not seem to be enough to alter the election results. We should be honest and tell you that. Goes to show that he was not one of the main prominent voices pushing the Dominion voting, um, the claims about Dominion voting systems. The people who were pushing that more so would have been Janine Pirro, Sean Hannity. There were several other names that were listed. Lou Dobbs, who I believe is no longer with the network. There were a lot of other names who were listed who are still with the network and who did more in that, what we've learned from the lawsuit, the Dominion lawsuit, who did more to push the claims about Dominion than Tucker Carlson ever did. So to think that he was ousted on the heels of this Dominion voting defamation settlement, and that it's linked to that, really the timing, I would think, is clearly it doesn't. There, to me, there's not really a connection between Dominion voting and Tucker being fired. However, it's great timing. It's a great way to cover up maybe the real reason why Tucker Carlson was fired. You'd rather have all the mainstream media say, well, the Dominion voting case was settled for $787 million. It's a lot of money. And suddenly Tucker's gone. So you would just connect those dots and you would just not look any further than that. That's what a lot of people are doing. But it's probably not the Dominion voting system. It's just a good excuse. Some other reasons why he may or may not have been fired, some of the theories that are out there, is that he had anti-war stances. This is also something that's been circulating heavily online, that it was his anti-war stance that got him fired. Now, we know a lot of anti-war voices definitely get censored. A lot of anti-war voices definitely get the back burner, they get the boot, they get ousted from their positions in mainstream media. That happens I would say it happens all the time, but I can't really say that because, quite frankly, there aren't a lot of anti-war voices. You don't see anti-war voices all the time. You don't see them enough for them to actually be ousted from networks all the time. But it does happen when it does happen when anti-war voices rise up. But Tucker Carlson, what made him so appealing to so many of us was he was actually calling it and saying it calling it as he saw it, telling it like it is, and really being very skeptical of many of the war narratives. However, I don't know if I would call Tucker totally and completely anti-war. He was very hawkish on China. That is something that the establishment is pretty much in lockstep with him on, is the rhetoric against China, the calling out China as really the true, we've got to watch them. So it's really unclear how much his anti-war sentiments had to do with his ouster. He's been anti-war for years. He was pretty much lockstep with Trump on foreign policy most of the time. Trump was also somewhat quasi anti-war, definitely more anti-war than than the current president, that's for sure. Previous presidents also, that's for sure. And so Tucker was in line with Trump during the entire Trump administration. So if you're going to oust Tucker for having anti-war stances, it seems that you would have done it well before now. You would have maybe done it when he was calling for Trump to be meeting with Kim Jong-un, to be negotiating peace with North Korea, to be, many of the things that Tucker was advising Trump on, traveling with Trump to South Korea, very much being in the ear of Trump. You would think that if they really were truly worried about his anti-war stances, they would have gotten rid of him a long time ago. And I'll get to why I think he really was fired, and it does have something to do with that. But I want to go on to some more of the theories before we get to the reason why I think Tucker Carlson was ousted. Some are saying that this has to do with, now these are the reports that are coming out from the Los Angeles Times and New York Times. Some of them are claiming that it was a lawsuit from an employee that actually got Tucker Carlson fired. Last month, a booking producer on Tucker Carlson's show filed a lawsuit claiming all kinds of things, from sexual harassment to anti-Semitism, essentially a hostile work environment. And she has all of this evidence and cites many, many things. She was saying that she was denied opportunities for promotion, that she was treated significantly worse than her male counterparts. She's including those who are less qualified than her. She said that the work environment subjugates women based on vile sexist stereotypes, typecasts religious minorities, and belittles their traditions, and demonstrates little to no regard for those suffering from mental illness. She used to work on Maria Bartiromo's show, said that those problems, those sexist, misogynistic, Anti-Semitic problems existed on that show. She left that show thinking she would move on to Tucker's show and that she would have some relief from these persistent, these pervasive issues that she was dealing with at Fox News. And she said when she got to Tucker Carlson, according to this lawsuit, things were just worse. She left, thinking Maria's show was bad and she thought Tucker's would be better. And it was way, way worse, she was claiming. So her lawsuit, the thing about this lawsuit is there's a lot of people named in it. So if the firing were truly about the lawsuit and about this former producer's claims, which by the way would still need to be tested in court. I mean, ultimately they're likely to settle this. Usually lawsuits like this get settled, but who knows? Fox maybe will take this all the way. It'll be a difficult one for Fox to win because Fox News is known for having a very hostile work environment for women. That's actually pretty well known in the industry. So when you're in the industry, if you talk to agents, if you talk to other producers, they're going to tell you Fox News has a culture problem at Fox News. So her allegations, and well, there was even a movie made about it. What was that movie that with all the blondes in it? The bombshell. The movie. There's an entire movie made about this, and so really Fox News is likely to settle this case with Abby Grossberg is her name. But many of the defendants that are named include Jerry Andrews, Tucker Carlson, David Clark, Thomas Fox, Ralph Giordano, Alexander McCaskill, Justin Wells, who was fired. That is Tucker Carlson, senior executive producer, Leslie West. These are the individual defendants in this case, including Fox News Network, Fox Corporation. So a lot of names here in this lawsuit, and that is what the inside sources at the Los Angeles Times are claiming, that Rupert Murdoch really got rid of him because of this lawsuit. But if you're going to get rid of him because of this lawsuit, you would have to get rid of everyone else because Fox News is likely to have to settle this lawsuit. It's not likely that they're going to be pushing this to court, and they're going to have to settle this, and who knows for how much. But it's also probably not new to Fox News. So it does seem a little bit odd if this were truly the reason. If these things just have to add up. We have to figure out what actually adds up when it comes to why would Tucker Carlson be fired. And so far, these reasons that are floating around don't really stack up for me. Another reason, according to sources inside anonymous sources, once again, that we have to rely on, is that Rupert Murdoch was really particularly upset about January 6th reporting from Tucker Carlson. Now, this is maybe more likely. There's definitely no doubt that Rupert Murdoch was, and reports had been around for a while, that Rupert Murdoch was very upset and leery about the January 6th reporting coming from Tucker Carlson. The tapes that were given to Tucker Carlson from Kevin McCarthy, from inside the Capitol. There was a lot of people were very upset about that. They claimed that even though Tucker Carlson was showing actual video evidence that countered the narratives, people were claiming that he was spreading misinformation, that don't watch the video because the video is not accurate, is what they were trying to tell us when Tucker released that. Well, apparently Rupert Murdoch was pretty upset about this. We also know that Ray Epps, who recently, by the way, sat down last night with 60 Minutes and said that Tucker Carlson has it out for me. He's trying to get me. Ray Epps made these claims, and so there's a lot of reporting around January 6th that made a lot of people uncomfortable, including Rupert Murdoch. It is very possible that that is something that Tucker was fired over, that ultimately it had just hit its peak, and maybe Tucker was planning on another future expose on January 6th or whatever, and that made the higher ups, Rupert Murdoch in particular, queasy, and ultimately they decided to get rid of him before he could do any more on January 6th. That makes a bit more sense. There's a lot of people, a lot of shows, a lot of independent creators who have been silenced, censored, booted from YouTube, demonetized over January 6th specifically. Not over their anti-war stances, not over maybe we've seen independent creators even be accused of, and other leaders in independent movements being accused of some sort of sexual misconduct. They don't get demonetized for that. They don't get deplatformed for that. They don't get demonetized or deplatformed for their anti-war stances, but they did get demonetized and deplatformed for discussing January 6th and election fraud. That is very possible that was too much for Rupert Murdoch, that Maybe Tucker wasn't there when in line with Lou Dobbs and Jeanine Pirro when it came to the Dominion voting claims, but Tucker was very much leading the charge when it comes to January 6th and the claims around January 6th. That leads me to the real reason why I believe Tucker Carlson was fired. And I do believe it's because of the second rise of Trump. I do believe that the powers that be are so completely frightened at the possibility of Trump taking back the White House that they have shown us over and over and over again that they are willing to do anything it takes to stop that from happening. And one thing we've learned now from 2016 and his win was that the media largely blamed themselves afterwards. That they looked and they said, oh, we covered his campaign too much. We gave him too much press. We gave him too much, he was in the news all the time. And that boosted his numbers. And that's ultimately why he ended up beating Hillary Clinton. Many of us don't really buy that, but that's what the media thinks. And that's maybe part of the reason people believe that Trump won. So it makes sense to me, as they've continued their never-ending witch hunt against Donald Trump and ensuring that he doesn't take back the White House, that they would do everything possible, including removing some of the most prominent voices who were lifting him up. And what happened last week? He had a big interview with Donald Trump, or 2 weeks ago. Or was the Donald Trump one, right? Donald Trump was 2 weeks ago, right? And then Elon Musk was last week or something. So he sits down with Donald Trump. He's promoting Donald Trump. He shares many of the same views that are part of the Donald Trump platform for his campaign. Tucker Carlson is the greatest asset to the Donald Trump campaign. I don't think that's even arguable, actually. I think Tucker Carlson, since they were able to get rid of Trump from practically every single medium, now I think he's probably going to have to come back to Twitter. He didn't want to. He's trying to promote his Truth Social, but my guess is after Tucker Carlson's ouster, Trump will be back on Twitter. He needs to be back in the spotlight. And if Tucker's not going to be the one to be able to give it to him, he's going to have to find it somewhere else. But if you want to remove Trump, if you want to eliminate his power, you get rid of the prominent voices that are elevating him, the prominent voices that are spotlighting him, the prominent voices who are echoing the same ideas from his platform that are becoming insanely, wildly popular. So that to me is the real reason why Tucker Carlson was ousted. They are deeply afraid, including Rupert Murdoch, of a Trump return to the White House. And they ultimately want to get rid of anyone and everyone who could be weaponized to help him get there in their minds. And this is a real loss. This is a loss for all of us. This isn't just a loss for Donald Trump. The real loss here is we finally had a mainstream news personality who was saying things that no one else on cable news was saying. Someone who echoed rising populist sentiments that were growing, especially amongst a Republican base, very surprisingly. Ideas and opinions which were completely different than what we're used to hearing come from Republicans. Tucker was popular for the same reasons that Trump was popular, and he's now been taken out in a similar fashion, likely over an entirely made up or blown out of proportion reason, which they will try to claim is the reason why Tucker was gone. They don't want to admit it's because they're worried about Donald Trump taking back the White House. They instead are going to pin it on, oh, the Abby Grossberg lawsuit, oh, Dominion voting systems, or whatever claim they could make. January 6th reporting, they'll make all of these claims, but ultimately they're deeply, deeply afraid of Donald Trump. That is where the consequence lies. Who sits in the Oval Office? Who's commander in chief? Tucker Carlson can have anti-war ideas all day long, but nothing can be done about them unless there's a commander in chief sitting in that Oval Office, sitting in the Situation Room, who can make calls that are similar to the sentiments that Tucker Carlson was sharing on a show night after night. All right, guys, let's talk about our new sponsor, Cozy Earth. Mother's Day is coming up. And if you want your mom bragging about your incredibly thoughtful Mother's Day gift, then I've got 2 words for you, Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth makes the softest, most luxurious, and responsibly sourced bedding and loungewear on the planet. And they're having a huge Mother's Day sale where you can get up to 35% off by using promo code Iversen. Make sure you spell it correctly. S-E-N, Iversen. Use that promo code. Now, I was sent a set of their sheets, and I have to tell you, they are incredible. They really, really are. I didn't want to like them because they are kind of expensive sheets, but you get what you pay for. You really do. And they just absolutely fantastic. They keep you cool. If you're a hot sleeper, I'm a hot sleeper, so I like the bedding to be cool. They definitely keep you cool. They also keep you warm on nights when you need to be warm. They feel extremely soft on your skin. So if you have any sort of allergies, if maybe you're itchy, if you're sensitive, then Cozy Earth bedding is just phenomenal. It really is. And your mom will love it if you're going to buy them for her. You can use the promo code for yourself, if you don't really want to splurge on your mom, but maybe you should think of your mom because Mother's Day is coming up. I'm just saying. But Cozy Earth bedding is temperature regulating, so you sleep at the perfect temperature year round. If you don't want to get your mom sheets, then Cozy Earth does have really luxuriously cozy loungewear that is made from the same temperature regulating viscose from bamboo, and it's made to fit every body type. They also have really soft crew socks and stretch knit tees. So grab whatever suits you from their website and you'll get up to that 35% off. Now, what's great is Cozy Earth offers a 100-night sleep trial, so you can sleep on it, wash it, try it out, and if you're not completely in love, just send it back for a full refund. Also, be sure to check out their 10-year warranty. So if there's any sort of manufacturer defect, you will get your money back from their warranty, or you get a new set of sheets or whatever. Just check out their warranty. Now visit CozyEarth.com and use my Mother's Day sale promo code Iversen at checkout to save up to 35% off your first, actually off of just your order. I think, I'm not sure if it's even your first order. Try it out, but use that 35% off, get that coupon at checkout. Just use the code Iversen.